Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Welcome to your instructor's workflow training for Turnitin Feedback Studio. My name is Nina and I'm from the Professional and Education Services team from the Philippines. All right, so early this morning, we had a session with the direct website users, and definitely po this time, we will be focusing in another axis, and that is the Canvas axis. So I'm pretty sure that yung mga attendees for today's sessions are actually accessing their feedback studio, okay, using the Canvas accounts. Now, please note that all audience members are muted by default for the main presentation. And if you do have any questions, feel free to key in your question in our Q&A panel, and I will do my best to answer it as soon as I can. So I'm pretty sure that you have, or most of the attendees for today have attended the training session we had, I think last 2020. So treat this one as a refresher course. And for those who are new users po ng Feedback Studio within Canvas, definitely you might have some questions or clarifications sa ating workflow. Simply just let me know by typing it in our Q&A box. Okay. All right, so I just got a request asking for the recording of the morning session. The recordings of the morning sessions are actually provided to your overall administrator. So you may reach out to your respective para at least you can get the recording from them. Okay. All right, so moving forward, let's talk about our agenda. Okay, so our agenda for today has got to do with the Feedback Studio and why do we use Feedback Studio and inclusive of the user roles. I will also be talking about the similarity report, how it works, and the file requirements for you to be able to generate one. Another one is creation of an assignment within your Canvas Canvas access. So let me see. I will be showing you on how to create an assignment and how you'll be able to adjust your assignment settings. We will also navigate a Feedback Studio environment as I show you how to interpret a similarity report, make use of the grade mark, as well as the ETSE rater. To wrap up, we will have the Getting Help guides. Now I'm showing the product of UP system, that is Feedback Studio. Okay, Feedback Studio is actually an originality checking and plagiarism prevention tool. It is not a plagiarism detection. Okay, so what happens is when you are submitting your work or your student's work, we are comparing the text on that submitted work against what we have in our content database. Once you found out the similarity matches, it's up for the instructor to decide whether the similarity matches that they have found are acceptable or not. Well, if you think it is an acceptable similarity matching, you can do the exclusion right after. Once you do the exclusion, the similarity score will be recalculated and for sure you will have an score afterwards. Now, okay, Feedback Studio does have three main components. We do have the similarity report, which is the report generated when your students are submitting papers. This one indicates the similarities and matches between the student submitted work as well as what we have in our content database. We also have the grade mark, which is the grading and feedback tools for instructors. Next to that is the ETSE rater, which is the automatic spelling and grammar checker. Another thing to note here is that in Feedback Studio, there you go. So Feedback Studio is actually the name of the product of UP system. I'm saying this one because when you are accessing our help website, okay, you will be asked first, what is the product of your okay, what is the so please know that you have to find Feedback Studio. However, in Canvas, we are referred to as Turnitin. Okay, so again, take note that in Canvas guides, we are referred to as Turnitin. Now, okay, what I'm showing here is the Turnitin standard content databases that we have. So when you are submitting your work or your students' work particularly, we are comparing it against the 3 standard databases that you are seeing right now. So the first one is the student paper database. This one will ensure that you will be able to find out if your students' papers are colluding with each other. We have more than 1.4 billion student paper submissions in this database. And with that, okay, we will be able to detect if there are some, or if your student, or definitely, makikita po natin if your students are recycling their own work. Perhaps they have submitted it before and they are just recycling some content of that and submitting it right now. The next one is the Internet Archive repository. We are actually comparing against this database just to make sure that students are not taking work or copying and pasting from one website to another without proper citation to the author or the sources. As of this moment, we have more than 91 billion current and archived web pages that we have scanned in this database. Another one is what we call the scholarly publications. This is all about avoiding academic and research misconduct, wherein we are comparing against this database just to make sure that students are taking work from any published journal claiming that it is their own work. We currently have more than 170 million journals and publications in this database. So once again, if you will hear me saying about content databases or database or repository option, I'm talking about these 3 standard content databases that we have. Now, for you to be able to generate a similarity report, your file must be in these supported file types. As you can see, these are the standard paper file types, okay, for every manuscripts or researches. We have the Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Adobe PDF, Adobe Post, OpenOffice Text, Corel Word Perfect, slides and sheets. We also have the HTML file, plain text, rich text format, and even in Hangul. If in case your students are using Apple Pages, all they have to do is to export it to PDF, submit it to the system, and similarity report will be generated right after. Your file uploaded the file uploaded must have password protection turned off. It should contain more than 20 words, be less than 800 pages in length, and be less than 100 megabytes in size. Okay, so well, 100 megabytes in size is pretty generous already, so you don't have to worry about it at all. But if in case that we do have an assignment wherein there are quite a lot of images in it, like pictures, you may just advise your student to remove those images, okay? Or remove those images, take them out if it's not necessary, or just compress them. Okay. Moving forward. Okay. Now it's about time for us to access Feedback Studio using our Canvas environment. Okay. So what I'm going to use actually is the Canvas environment that has been provisioned to me by your Turnitin administrator. So let me just move that one out. for a second. Apologies on this. Stop share and then reshare again. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so I hope that everybody can see what I'm sharing in my screen right now. This is actually a Canvas environment of UPLB. And what I'm gonna do next is actually I'll be accessing a specific course provisioned to me so that I can start creating an assignment. So I'll just go back to the course. There you go. And select the course that you have that has been provisioned to you. And then access the assignments tab in the left-hand side. Okay. As you can see, I do have already 2 assignments in here. Okay, there you go. Okay, so the first thing that you have to click the tab or the blue tab in the upper right-hand side of your screen, the assignment tab. Okay. Okay. Now, okay, we have to provide an assignment name this time. So let me try to do so. I will be using my, definitely the naming convention is really up for, to you to decide. So I will be using TII, okay, Turnitin. That is actually the Turnitin code. So TII, UP system, assignment. Okay. So you can surely provide some information or perhaps an instruction, okay, for you to be able to create, if there's a need for you to do so. And then the next thing that you can see is actually the points. Groups, okay, this is basically as a Canvas setting. So once again, please note that I will not be focusing on any Canvas related settings. We will only be focusing on the Turnitin settings within your Canvas environment. Okay. Now, okay, let me see. Next one is to the display grades. Okay, depending on your preference, so you can just pick and choose what do you think is beneficial for your assignment. Now we have in the submission type, this is where you are enabling Turnitin in your Canvas assignment. Okay, so let me click on, or the thing that you have to select in here is actually the external tool. Once you click on external tool, you have to click on this URL box in here, click on find, and search for the Turnitin name or the integration. So I'll be clicking. I believe that we have 3 integration in UPLB, but it might be different from what you have in other CUs. So you might just reach out to your CU Turnitin administrator so that they can provide you information on what you should click in here. But I'm pretty sure that they are naming it Turnitin somehow. Okay. Now the URL is populated here. Next is to click on select. Again, for the submission type, external tool, then find the Turnitin LTI integration, and you're all good. The rest are actually Canvas assignment settings, so I'll just skip that and click on Save and Publish. Okay. Okay, you are now in actually the Canvas LTI assignment settings. In here, okay, the title is already fixed and the max grade as well. You can provide your instruction if there's a need for you to do so, like Perhaps you have a requirement of like the number of words or character requirements, those kind of things. And then we have the enable peer mark. The peer mark is actually an assignment type when another student can provide feedback to another student's work. The feedback can actually be anonymous or not. So it depends upon your preference as an instructor. So definitely you can, you know what your student needs or what would be beneficial to your assignment. So it's really up for you to decide. Then we can see the start date in the right-hand side corner. The start date is the date that your student can access the grades, or I mean, they can access the assignments and start submitting. The due date is the last date that they can submit. As for the post dates or the feedback release date, this is the date that your student can access the grades and feedback and even the rubrics if you have provided any. Okay. Next is click on the optional settings. Okay. So in here, okay, we do have repository option first. When you click on the optional setting, you can see the submission settings. In the submission settings, you have two options when it comes to repository. The first one is standard paper repository. Standard paper repository means that the assignments that are to be submitted in this or the documents or works that are to be submitted in this assignment will automatically be stored in Turnitin's database. And it will surely be available for future similarity comparison. So if we are talking about those final papers, like the final manuscripts, it's not a draft anymore. You can surely select standard paper repository. Also, we understand that there are some assignments that are not supposed to be in the standard databases of Turnitin. So you might as well want to choose do not store the submitted papers. By choosing this, okay, this means that the papers that are to be submitted in this assignment will not be available or will be processed to perform the similarity check. So definitely may similarity report pa rin po tayo. However, if by chance providing those work, okay, to another student, or they're just simply recycling it, and another one is like they are providing it to another institution, unfortunately, we cannot see a collusion since the paper is not in our databases anymore, or not in our database yet. However, I could also advise that if you would want to, or if you just wanted to check a draft, or basically like to check, just to check or simply check a paper for similarity report, and it should not be submitted in the database. So definitely ito po ang best option. So I'll be using standard paper repository since we are assuming that all submissions that are to be made in here are final and must be stored in the database. Next is allow submissions of any file. So make sure that you are unchecking this box for the reason that if you check this box, students will be able to submit any file types even if we do not support them. If the student submitted video and audio files, we cannot generate any similarity report on those file types. Okay. Next, okay, is allow late submission. So it's up for you to decide whether you would want to your student to submit late, even after the due date has passed. And next one is enable translated matching. Okay, so what do we mean by translated matching? Before I discuss anything about translated matching, I just want to make sure that everybody know that Feedback Studio is actually a like for like matching. It means to say that if we have the content in, let's say, for example, your student submitted in Filipino or in any other language, we will be able to find a match to that language for as long as the content is in our databases. So you don't have to worry like, okay, my student are about to submit something in Japanese. So definitely if the Japanese content is in our database, you will find a match. Okay, this time, if by chance, okay, you are enabling translated matching. Okay, when I enable translated matching, okay, this will be like when you are submitting a work in a different language, let's say Japanese. When translated matching is enabled, we will translate the work from Japanese to English and match to any Japanese content or to any English database. So that's how it works. It will translate the one language to English and then matched it to any English content that we have in the database. If you'll notice, hindi ko po ginamit ang Filipino because Filipino is not one of the language that we support yet. We are still developing it. But still, okay, for some Filipino teachers that we might have here in the session, you don't have to worry because for as long as the content in for as long as the Filipino content is in our database, you can surely find a match. Okay, so whether you turn translated matching on or not. Another one is enable, okay, for you to be able to see yung mga language that we support for translated matching, make sure you are checking this one or clicking this one, and surely you'll get more information. Okay. Next is enable grammar checking using ETSE technology. Make sure you are checking this box. Check your work or your student's work using the ETSE rater, and you can find the level of your handbook in here. So I always choose advanced, and then the US dictionary, and the categories that you want ETSE rater to check. So it could be spelling, grammar, usage, and mechanics and style. But if you think some of the categories are not relevant, that should be okay. You can just skip that or uncheck the category that you find not really relevant in your assignment. If you would also want to attach a rubric, that is also fine. You may see and select the rubric of your choice by clicking on the drop-down arrow and choose whatever you would want to use as a set. Or you may just simply launch a rubric manager so that you can select, or I mean, you can create your own rubric or even upload your very own rubric. That should be okay. The next portion is repository option. Like, what are the repositories where you would want to match against with? So as you can see, the first one is the student paper repository or the database, current and archive internet, and scholarly publications. Make sure that everything is checked, and well, it's checked by default, but sometimes, okay, it's very rare, and it's really the instructor's preference. For example, the papers that are to be submitted in here is something that you don't want to match to any student paper content that we have in our database. So you can just simply uncheck this box and you will only be matching back to the website content or the scholarly publications. Well, this is something that we are not recommending. So that's why I always want instructors to check all of these repositories so that you can have a better similarity comparison. Next to that is the generation of similarity report. Okay. Having, or this one, you can surely exclude bibliographic materials, quoted materials, and small sources straight away when you are setting up the assignment. It means to say that every submissions, like for example, I have checked everything. Every submissions will automatically be or that the bibliography, codes, and small sources will automatically be excluded. However, this is not what we are recommending. What we recommend is uncheck these boxes and leave the exclusions turned off. That way, those content will still be in the similarity report by default, and you can ensure that your students are doing these content correctly. And maybe after you have checked the paper thoroughly, and you can decide that there are no anomalies or issues about the paper, you can do the exclusion right after checking. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm not checking these boxes. And of course, icons just beside the feature. So just hover on top of that and you can definitely see information, okay, that which will guide you when you're setting up your assignment. One additional feature of Feedback Studio this year is actually the exclusion of assignment template. We know that a lot of institutions or a lot of instructors are providing assignment templates to their students. You don't have to worry if in case that this has been an issue when you're creating an assignment, because definitely if you match to a template, the similarity report will increase. But this time you can surely upload your very own template or create your custom template, and it will automatically be excluded from the similarity report. Just make sure that you are following the template requirements that we put in here. There you go. Next to that, okay, we do have the additional settings. If you want to save these settings for future use, so at least you don't have to go back again and set the settings manually again next time. And when you're all good, click on submit. Okay. Now, settings were saved successfully and we already have our assignment. Okay, and I just got a question coming from Miss Michelle Grace Paraso. Can you still edit the settings of an already published assignment to include Turnitin checking? If we're talking about the previous assignment that you have created and you just wanted to turn on Turnitin, I think it will not work. So what can we do is that we have to create an assignment, and at the same time, we are enabling Turnitin. So that is much more easy because edit a very, let's say, not very old assignment, but an assignment that you have created, let's say 3 months ago. And if you manage to enable Turnitin in there, the similarity checking will only apply to the newly submitted work and not to the previous work. So might as well create a new assignment and enable Turnitin. Okay. Okay, so there you go. Next one. Okay, let me see. Oops, okay, hold on for a second. Sorry about that. Okay. The next thing that I'll be sharing is actually, let's see. Okay, I'll be going straight to the assignment inbox. Okay. And okay, we already have a submissions in here. Okay, so it's basically like this one. You can see the author name and the uploaded, the date and the time that the paper was uploaded. The view icon. So definitely, if your student managed to view the work or to view the grades that you have provided, we can see the date and the time that they have viewed the feedback, the grades if you're providing any, similarity score, and you can also determine if there are some flags in it. Another thing is that you do have an option column in here. So copy the paper ID, upload or resubmit on behalf of your student, download and delete. So what I'm gonna do right now is actually to access a specific similarity report, and allow me to stop share again for the time being. Okay, and I will be doing some resubmission. Okay. Hold on for a second, everyone. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. Please feel free to reach out or confirm some questions, or maybe you have your own questions with regards to Canvas environment. Okay, please just key in your questions in our Q&A panel. Okay. Let me just simply. What I actually did is I actually resubmit a specific paper, okay, in replacement to the previous submitted file in Canvas, in the Canvas environment. So how did I do, why did I do so? Okay, and why do I have to do that? In Canvas, there is no way for an instructor to be able to submit their own, to submit on behalf of the student if the student was haven't submitted yet. Okay, so it's really important for the student to submit for assignment, and then to submit first the assignment, and if there's a need for you as an instructor to resubmit another work, okay, or under the same student, that is now possible. Okay, by clicking on these 3 additional dots and clicking on upload. Okay, so we are still waiting for the similarity report to generate, but similarity report will constantly be generated, okay, depending on the length of the submission. So right now we have these submissions already. There you go. And I will be clicking on this one. Okay, just simply click on the similarity report of your, or the similarity score, and this is what you'll be able to see. Hold on for a second. I'll just change it into a tab. Okay, so everyone, similarity report, once you open, okay, it in your assignment inbox. Okay, moving forward, let me see. Okay, the first thing that you can see here is the student's name and then the submission title. You can also find the grades if you are providing any to your students. And also you can switch in between submissions if you are talking about like moving from one submission to another. But definitely in this specific assignment, we only have one, so that should be okay. And then we have the help icon in the upper right-hand side of the screen. Okay. Also, we have the toggle page navigation in the left-hand side of the screen, which is beneficial if your assignment has multiple pages. And then we have the number of pages down to the your screen as well. And the word count. Opposite to that, we can find the text-only report, high resolution toggle, and zoom, or you can zoom the paper in and out. In the right-hand side, you can find a lot of toolbars, and the first icon that you can find are the layers, wherein you can see the 3 components of Feedback Studio. We do have the grading, the grade mark actually, so they are all in blue. Similarity tools are in red, and e-rater is actually in purple. And we will revisit these active layers shortly if we are already ready to download the full report. So, well, this is a sample paper that I've done just to show you different types of similarity to show you different types of plagiarism and how they will look like in a similarity report by default. Okay, let me see. Paragraph. Before I talk about the first paragraph, it's very interesting for you to check first the flags. What do we mean by flags? Okay. Flags are actually clear indication that cheating is taking place in your student's paper. When we see a number here, okay, if you will notice in our similarity toolbar, that's the number that's the topmost icon, okay, and showing the number 2 with a flag. It says here that there are 2 attempts to throw off similarity detection. In this part, okay, it is telling us that there is a hidden text, or there are hidden texts and replace characters in this specific submissions. And if we will look closely, you can find that the flags are actually in this specific paragraph. When I click on hidden text, you might not see any anomalies or any issues about this paragraph. You now will be able to see all the hidden text that can be found in the student's work. And yes, it's happening even before Turnitin, or even before pandemic. You can see that the student even added hidden quotation marks, letters in between words, sentences, even phrases, and sometimes, okay, we've seen students adding paragraphs. What they do is that instead of adding more information on their work, they will just write random words, text, or even paragraphs, and then change it to color white. Those letters or words cannot be seen by the naked eye, but Turnitin can actually detect that. Okay. Now, another one. Okay. So we have the hidden text right now. Okay, another question. Why do we have quotation marks? Why are students using quotation marks? It is because some students are aware that the instructor has the ability to exclude quotation mark in the overall settings. Okay. However, okay, and if the instructor has set the assignment to exclude quotation marks, and the student added these hidden quotation mark in their work, this portion here will not be included in the overall similarity report. And that is their intention, because since it's not included in the similarity report, the score is lower. Okay. Now, that's one of the reasons why I'm recommending not to exclude any quotation marks or even bibliography when you are setting up the assignment. You can do that after checking your student's work. I will unclick the hidden text, and we will now move to characters. When I turn on replace characters, now it is showing us all, or it is showing us the letters which are in the red box, okay, and telling us that these are basically replaced characters. What does that mean? Students are actually replacing one character from one language to another because they think that similarity cannot be detected since they replace English characters to similar looking ones. You may say that, oh, these are American alphabet letter E, but well, they're not. These letter E's are basically a Cyrillic character, or they are Cyrillic characters. Cyrillic is an alphabet similar to Greek, used in Russian alphabet. So, well, these are not American alphabet letter E, but these are Russian characters. So, well, as mentioned, this one, or the flags, are clear indication that cheating is happening in your student's paper. And it is something that you're, because this could, the concern of you having some similar matches in the paper might be shift to the flags, because this one is an obvious misconduct already. And you might want to talk to your students straight away about it. I've done the hidden characters and character placement in this specific paper. It's very tedious, it's time consuming, and obviously this one is intentional. I'm pretty sure that your student cannot really just say, oh, I didn't know that this will affect my overall similarity report. Well, surely I believe that they know how, that they know that it will surely affect that. Okay. We are done talking about the flags, and I bet this time we can now discuss, okay, about the similarity percentage. Okay. The next one, let me see. I will be clicking on the similarity the similarity score here, which is 66%. When you click on that, you can see the match overview will open up in the right-hand side. Okay. And then we also have the matches, okay, in the student's work. And definitely those matches that you are seeing corresponds to the sources that we can find in the match overview. Okay. Now, I just would like to answer some questions that I can find in the Q&A panel. It was a question, it is one question is from Miss Sinmai Manligues, okay? I tried to enabling Turnitin in assignment, but I noticed that it's not enabled in the quiz setting. Okay, because the integration, okay, I would like to use it for essay type questions in my long exams. Okay, thank you for that question, Miss Sinmai. Unfortunately for Canvas LTI, there's no way for us to be able to use quizzes and long like essay type questions. What I can recommend is perhaps you can just simply take the chunk of that essay write up of your students and put that in the feedback studio environment. So that way you can find the similarity matches. So that's the only way we can do about it. But for now, okay, we cannot enable Feedback Studio in Canvas quizzes and essay type questions. I hope I answered your questions. Thank you. Okay. Another question is coming from Sir Guyen Garma. We have here, kung magsasubmit ng 2 beses ang mga bata, first draft and then final draft in one submission, thread bin, tama po ba ang dito na pwede kong iset muna ang naka-off onto the standard paper repository for first draft, and then pag magsasubmit na sila ng final draft, I can just change the settings and have their output submitted to the standard paper repository. Okay, let me answer that question, Sir Gian. That is a very good question as well. So I will just quickly shift to my assignment settings. Okay, so maybe question din po ng ito ng ating ibang faculty members. So I'll just go here. Okay, when you are expected your student to submit a draft first and then a final submission, I can recommend 2 kinds of workflows. The first one is ang ating settings po. So just to adjust the setting, I will click on this cog icon. And I can advise you to allow resubmissions, and at the same time, okay, possible na po kasi na pwede nating i-choose yung standard paper repository. Okay. And, okay, let me see. We can also select yung generation speed. What do we mean by that? So here we go. In the generation speed, in this portion, it will identify kung kailan po ma-generate ang similarity report ng mga students' papers. So you do have 3 options in here. The first one is the reports of your student is final and they cannot resubmit anymore. Yun po ang generate reports immediately, the students cannot resubmit. First report is final and the student cannot resubmit at all. The second one is generate reports immediately. Students can resubmit until due date. This second option here po means that you are allowing resubmissions. So even if ang repository option po natin ay standard paper repository and you chose this settings, you don't have to worry about self-matching. Yung first submission will just overwrite the previous submission. So kung nag-submit po siya ng draft and nag-resubmit siya ulit, that will just overwrite the previous submission of your student. So wala pong concern when it comes to self-match. Though may limitation lang po ito because after the third resubmissions, reports generate or the reports are generated not immediately anymore but after 24 hours. It will just take time. We are adding this limitation because we found some students who are taking advantage of the system as they try to manipulate their scores. Nagre-resubmit lang po kasi yung bata just because ang intention nila is to have lower scores and not really for formative learning. Well, I still think that this one is good if we want our students to submit their work and if may nakita po silang discrepancies or any issues doon sa paper, or let's say nakalimutan po nilang trace or cite some information, they can submit it again. The third option po is allowing resubmission, but still ang generation po ng similarity report will be on the due date. So hindi po siya immediate. So that is the workflow that I can suggest. Okay, first, you can definitely be confident in selecting standard paper repository. And also, ang settings po natin here is generate reports immediately. The student can resubmit. However, there's another way or for you to have another workflow. So the first the second workflow is like you are setting the first you are expected to create 2 assignments. So yung first assignment natin, ang nakaset sa kanyang repository option is do not store the submitted paper. Okay. And possible po sa generation speed, you can just simply click on generate reports immediately, the student can submit. And then when they fix it again, tapos yung second submissions na po are actually the final submission of our student. And it means to say na mag-create po kayo ng isa pang paper or isa pang assignment that the repository setting is set to standard paper repository. So there you go. Those are the 2 types of workflow. So let me know, Sir Gian, if I was able to answer that question or your first question. Okay. Next is, yun po bang submissions ng mga bata via Turnitin, will it be stored in the Canvas course shell? Sakop pa rin po ba siya ng 500 megabyte limit ng Canvas? Okay, are we talking about the direct website accessor or the Canvas? Any submissions made in direct website access will remain in direct website access, and any submissions in Canvas will remain in Canvas. So it means that is the challenge po pag dalawa po ang access ng ating mga faculty members or ng ating student. We cannot combine Canvas to direct website access. So parang kumbaga ang sinasabi natin here is dalawa ang entry point ng mga submissions ng ating mga students. Okay, I hope I answered your question. Okay. There you go. Okay, now I'll just go back to the feedback studio once again, okay, doon sa ating similarity report, and let me focus on the similarity percentage. What you are seeing right now is yung 66%. What does that mean? 66% means that it indicates that 66% of the students' work matches against what we have in the database. So 67 or a 66 here, okay, you might think that, oh, this is over the threshold na nang. Does that mean it's already plagiarized? Here, the number that you are seeing in the match overview or this percentage here does not mean that the student plagiarized already. Okay, whatever number you are seeing, so kung 20% man yan, 30%, 70%, 66%, or 95%, the similarity score is not a determination of any plagiarism. Because the decision to deem any work plagiarized should only be made after a very careful examination of both the submitted paper of the student as well as the suspected sources we found in this match overview, and not just by simply viewing the similarity score. I know that I actually encountered some instructors as well, or even concerned din po siya ng institution, that they think, or some instructors are thinking that when the teacher, or I mean the student, submit their paper and the similarity report is generated already final. Ito na po yung score ng bata. But it doesn't work that way. there is really a need for you to assess and check the student's work as well as the suspected sources that we have here. And if by chance you found similarity matches, that's the time that you can decide whether the similarity matches that you are seeing is acceptable for you or not. May mga similarity matches po tayo na mako-consider nating not relevant doon sa submissions ng ating mga students. I will be showing some samples shortly. So there you go. So again, further checking is needed before we can say that the work is plagiarized. So you will notice in the match overview, pinapakita po here yung mga sources, the list of sources that match in the student's paper. And also it will highlight words and sentences document that are similar to the works found in our database. Again, okay, we are not showing any matches that have been plagiarized in here. Hindi po ibig sabihin na yung mga highlighted words natin are plagiarized. What we are showing here is a word-for-word matches to any text in our database. And I think that I have answered the question of Sir Alan Elenia. Is the similarity score or on a per character basis, per word basis? Definitely. So kung ano po ang nakikita or hina-highlight ni Turnitin in here, it is the exact content that can be found in the similar in our database. And not another thing, okay. So each match that you are seeing, okay, is has a corresponding number. So here we have number 2, 3, 4, and so on. And those numbers are attributed to the sources that you can find in the match overview. When you click on number 2, i-click ko po yung number 2 here, a source box will appear. There you go. Si source box po, ipinapakita niya yung mga matching words, okay? Or I mean like the original text from the website. And you can also click on the link of that website if you would want to check if the website is legitimate or not. As we all know, madali na po ngayon sa ating mga students ang mag-create ng mga mock websites. And they are doing that just to make their works appear to be very well written or very well researched, but it's not. So if you're seeing some very odd looking website, page, or URL, you might want to check that one out. But if you don't think that that is another workflow for you, what you can do is simply click on this book icon so that you can see the full source text side by side. Then you can compare whether the paragraph that you are seeing is totally copy-pasted. Another thing that I want you to take note as well here is that it's obviously copy-pasted because the color matching goes all the way throughout the paragraph. However, if you will notice here in the full source text, okay, you will find out that there are some words that are not in red. Okay, what does that mean? Turnitin Internet Database, o nagmamatch po kasi tayo dito sa wikipedia.org. Wikipedia is a public website. And anybody can change the content or update some information in Wikipedia at any moment. And even if the content is not existing in the current page of Wikipedia anymore, we have it already in our database and for sure it will show up as a match still. So yung po na I actually found a trick being done by some student. What they do is they try to edit a chunk of Wikipedia, remove a specific paragraph, and put that on their paper. Because they think na pag wala na po yung content na yon sa Wikipedia, it will not, there won't be a match anymore. Unfortunately, Turnitin is way step ahead from them. So kumbaga, we already archived the previous pages of Wikipedia, and even if the content is not existing right now, we will still be able to find a match. And that's why this is what you are seeing right now. Okay. Next is we have the software-based text modification rewritten via text spinners. Okay. Well, text spinners are actually some sort of a paraphrasing tool. Okay, free website po ito na ginagamit ng ating mga students. So what they do is they just take a chunk of a paragraph and put that on their paper. To a website. Pag na-generate na ni text spinner yung paraphrased paragraph, okay, they will just put that on their paper. Well, text spinners are not very smart and words used may not make any sense at all. So definitely, if you're checking your student's work and you notice a very odd looking website, you might just want to engage your student in a conversation about it. Okay. Another one is copy paste. So same lang po siya ng first paragraph natin. This is where students will just try to replace some words to its synonym. So parang just to try to escape plagiarism check, but obviously hindi po to workable, okay, especially for Turnitin. So makikita po talaga natin if your students intentionally remove or change a specific word. So same workflow pa rin po when checking. Click on that number and then click on the book icon side by side so that you can identify words that has been replaced by your students. So let me see. Okay. Okay. So as you can see here, the word common was replaced with usual and so on. The next one is, well, okay, we already talked about the manual text modification rewritten by a text spinner, which is a very clear indication that cheating is taking place in your student's paper. Okay. Then we have the mosaic plagiarism. In mosaic plagiarism, we also call this one in the academic community as a mashup. We can tell that this one is a mashup because each sentence that match were in different colors and in different numbers. Now it's up for you to check whether you are matching from the match that you are seeing is acceptable for you or not. So flow, click on the number and investigate. And there you go. So if you found some match that you think is not relevant or somehow acceptable for you, you can surely exclude that one from the similarity report. Another thing is the quotation. So Turnitin can actually detect quotes in two different ways. If you will notice, we do have the indentation or here and the phrases in between words. The in between quotation marks, In this portion, okay, if you think that the student did well in the quotes or they may follow your instruction about this content and you think it's properly done, you can do the exclusion of quotation mark straight away. That way, okay, yung similarity report will be recalculated and definitely you will have a lower report. Next is paraphrase. So in paraphrasing, we can really expect no colored matching in the paraphrasing portion. Why? Because we are expecting our students to provide information using their own words. And if your student did well in paraphrasing, definitely we can expect no colored matching at all. However, okay, well, same as original text din po. So in original text po kasi, we are expecting our students to provide original work or output. Example, yung mga assignments wherein the student needs to create a narrative or to create, let's say, a poem or a short story or a script. Those assignments actually fall in original text category. And those assignments, okay, we are expecting our students to really use their own words, share their own opinion, topic or specific things. And if they have done that, there would be no matching. But it's possible to have very little highlights or small matching for paraphrase and original text. This time, ito po yung tinatawag nating acceptable similarity matching. What are those acceptable similarity matching? Those basic and commonly known facts we are seeing in every work is considered one. So let's say yung Manila is the capital of the Philippines, or I study in UP Diliman, or it's very hot today. Those kind of very generic terms, words, or commonly known phrase, or even facts, or even jargons and vocabulary are surely like a lot of students have written that already, and it will surely show up as a similarity when you run the paper. And well, that one is still something that we can say that is acceptable. And if you found something like that, you can surely exclude those small matchings straight away from the similarity report. And again, the similarity score will be recalculated, and for sure you will have an accurate score afterwards. Okay. I do have a question from Miss Jane Reyes. For book review or article critic, the first who submitted has 0% similarity, but the succeeding submission of other students have increasing percentage similarity with previous students' work referred as similar. I believe that there might be some issues regarding that, since magkukulod po yung mga tinatawag nating commonly known words or commonly known vocabularies, or maybe they are using the title of the book. So definitely there's a collusion. Now, in the succeeding submission of other students, or the instructor to decide to exclude those small matchings, okay? And once you have excluded that, what you will be able to get is the final similarity score of the rest of the students. Okay, I hope I answered your question, Ms. Jane. Thank you. Okay. Now, I will show how to do the exclusion shortly after we talked about the reference list. Okay, now let me see. We have the references in here. Okay, hold on for a second. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. So in the references, okay, we do have, or we should expect a rainbow of colors in here. So since we are about different kinds of sources. However, if by chance you found your reference completely highlighted in just one color, like all of these are just in one color and in one number, this could mean one thing. The student copied and pasted that from one source and put that on their paper. You may want to investigate further by clicking on the number to find out what is that specific website, and surely they can provide you more information about it. Okay, now, what if there is a source that is completely highlighted? What does that mean? Okay. It means that the source is already in our database. And definitely, if your student followed your requirements, your own format when it comes to bibliography, like it's properly done, and you are not anomalies involved in that specific portion of bibliography right after checking. Just like the quotes, it will recalculate the similarity score. Okay, and definitely kung ano pong score na makikita natin after exclusion, that is a more accurate one. But that is something that you can do after checking the whole bibliography. Because if by chance we do have some sources that are not completely highlighted, this could only mean three things. First, the source is not, or the student was not able to do the citation correctly. Somehow, may problem po sa information, so they have to fix it. Second, the source is not yet in our database. And having said that, if the source is not in our database, you can actually reach out to Turnitin team, basically. So, or let's say, that to your Turnitin administrator so that they can reach out to us and include that in our web crawler. Para in the, as soon as possible, you'll be able to see the match in that specific content or in that specific web articles. Third, it's not a real source. So if by chance may nakita po tayo na walang highlights, it could definitely mean na hindi po siya real source. So it is something that you have to check further. Just like what I have in here. So I added 2 sources written by Antonio Luna and Jose Rizal about COVID-19. So definitely po, this is not for real. Okay, so you have to find those things before you do an exclusion. Okay, so that's for the references. Now, let me talk about the match overview in the right-hand side. In the match overview, you can find where you are matching back, or the list of sources that are matching back in the paper. So you can find yung internet source, student's paper, publication, okay, or any other things. If by chance you match to a specific student paper, for example, we have here number 3. Okay. Here I'm matching back to a paper submitted in Istanbul Medipol Universitesi. Okay, that's another institution in another country. And definitely, we will not be providing any information about the content. We will just see kung ano po yung match, but you won't be able to see any information about that paper. If by chance you still would want to see that paper, you might as well want to click on the institution's name and send a request to view the paper. And that way, the institution will provide you the paper, okay? If the institution say yes, definitely makukuha po natin yung content ng paper via email, but if not, we cannot do anything about it because it belongs to another institution. It's basically the same as other institution match back to one paper submitted in UP. So they are not seeing anything, but they can request, and if one of the UP administrators allow them to see the paper, that should be like definitely makukuha po ng institution na yun yung content. But I'm pretty sure that it's actually like we are not receiving a lot of requests to view the paper quite a lot, so you don't have to worry about it at all. And for sure, alam naman po ng ating Turnitin admin if they have to provide a paper or not. Okay. Another thing is in the match overview, what you're seeing is the top matches as always. But there are some times that yung mga top matches na is not where the information has come from. Okay. So, let me see. Okay. There is a way for you to investigate further what are the other match breakdowns. Kung saan pa ba nagmamatch ang specific paragraph. For example, my first paragraph here, I'm only matching back to wikipedia.org. Well, for example, if by chance you are talking or having this conversation with your student and then suddenly you told that student of yours na parang, I saw that you matched in wikipedia.org, and if the student is actually claiming, if their students are actually claiming that they didn't use wikipedia.org, they used Wikimili instead, you can actually check that or confirm kung may iba pa pong sinasabi student. But well, this is not recommended somehow, but I just wanted to show you if in case we are in that scenario. So I'll be clicking on this this arrow next to the small percentage to see the match breakdown. So here, it will show you every time the paragraph has been used or mentioned. because sometimes information from public sources, just like Wikipedia, are being, those information are used by other public websites and even submitted in other institutions. Okay. Okay, next one is, okay, we have here, let's see. This paragraph means that it is matching back to Wikipedia. Okay, and nakikita na po natin yung highlights. Now, we have the Wikimili. For example, ito po ang sinabi ng ating student na where they got the information. And those highlights are copied from Wikimili for sure. It's also submitted in other universities and a lot of institutions as well. Okay, so we have here submitted to higher education, and you can see it in here. And now, another thing to note, if by chance you found some matches wherein you think is not relevant, let's say by chance you allowed your student to collaborate with somebody from Higher Education Commission. This is just an example, but this is not recommended. And you think the match that you are seeing is not relevant or somehow acceptable for you because you allowed your student to use it, okay? You can simply click on exclude sources. That can be found in the leftmost, rightmost tab. Click on that. Select the source that you would want to exclude. Okay, I'm selecting the higher education, and then click on exclude. When I click on exclude, okay, you will notice na hindi po nagbago ang ating similarity report. Why? It is because you are still matching back to a series of sources having the same percentage. And obviously, ang sinasabi lang po nito is that this paragraph is totally copy-pasted because it has been used by a lot of sources already. But still, you will not match back to the paper submitted in higher education anymore. Another one is, okay. Another one is we have, okay, let's see, small matches. So let's just find a small percentage match. So for example, I am seeing, or I click on pharmatutor.org. When I click on pharmatutor.org, I can only match in this darker highlight. So 19 is an infectious disease caused by. You consider this one as small similarity matching and like it's a commonly known fact and it's not relevant at all, you can simply click on exclude sources, select that source, and exclude. You will not match back to pharmatutor.org but hindi pa rin po nagbabago ang ating similarity score since we are still matching back with in another source having the same percentage. Those exclusion, or what we are doing right now, is actually refining the similarity score. And that exclusion can also be found or can be done in the all sources view. So in the all sources view, this time it will showing or it shows us the number of times a particular source matched in the paper. So what do we mean by that? It means to say that the coursehero.com or the paper or the 36% of the content of this paper matches to the www.coursehero.com. And you can see all of those matching texts highlighted. And same workflow. If you think that you allow your student to make use of this and you think it's not relevant at all, more on collaborative or let's say commonly known facts somehow, okay, you can simply exclude the source and select the source and finally confirm the exclusion. Okay, just like here, I match back to Far Eastern University here, 30%. There you go. Okay, well, when you're doing those checking, okay, and if you think that your student actually created or did well, by chance, okay, na parang everything is all good na po, okay, there are no anomalies involved, I think there are, the student were able to do notes and bibliography correctly, what you can do this time to do the content exclusion. So go to the filters and settings, and this time you can surely exclude quotes, exclude bibliography. So make sure lang po na hindi na po, wala po tayong nakikitang anomalies involving the submission. So you can surely check those things. And then of course, you can exclude sources that are less than or equal to the number of words or percentage that you will put in here. Let's say, for example, I will click on words and I will select 20. This means that if Turnitin found a match in a specific source with maximum of 20 similar texts or similar words, we will automatically remove that in the similarity report. Okay. And then, for example, I'm okay with this exclusion. It's all good for me. I will have to click on apply changes. 66%, we are now down to 50%. And we only are matching to 7 sources in Turnitin's database. Okay, I do have a question coming from Sir Alan Alinea. Okay, how does Turnitin compute the similarity score? Example, count the total words in plagiarized sections divided by the total number of words in the document. Actually, yes. Okay, that should be the logic indeed. So total matched words divided by the total number of words. So that's how we go about with the Turnitin similarity score. Thank you, Sir Alan. Okay, moving forward. Now we do have an accurate score, and definitely we can say that this one is the final score of our student similarity report, because we have already removed or excluded everything that we think is acceptable for us or not relevant in their report. Okay. The last but not the least that I'll be sharing is all of the earlier are actually go straight to this icon, yung pinaka last icon po ng similarity toolbar. So if by chance you think that the sources needs to be included, okay, simply click on the source and restore or restore everything. Okay, so there you go. That is the walkthrough of the similarity report. So let me know if you don't have any questions. This time we will now focus on the grade mark and the ETS erater. To focus on the ETS iterator and the grade mark, I will be unchecking the similarity po. So at least what we'll only be seeing is yung grading first. The first icon that I'll be providing or showing is yung ating text icon. So click anywhere and click on select letter T. Leave a comment to your student's work. It's basically like we are writing on top of their work. So we can say this is a good paper. So this is always my random comment. Click away and it will automatically move around to avoid any text on the paper. Another one is actually the bubble comments. Bubble comments are used when you are expected to leave a comment in a certain portion or sections of your student's work. So all you have to do is to highlight the text, or let's say the paragraph, but me, I will just highlight the title for now. Click on the bubble icon in the middle, and then leave your comment to your student's work. Maybe you have your instruction. Bubble comments will allow you to leave longer comments up to 2,000 words. So kung mas mahaba po ang ating explanation or discussion about this specific portion, that should be okay. So maybe we can just change the title of your work and you're all good. Change the color of the highlight if you want to, and click away and it will automatically be saved. Okay, another way to leave comment in specific portion of this work is via quick marks. I very handy and very helpful, okay, for me as an instructor, because I know that we always have these favorite feedbacks or favorite comments to use for our students' work. And actually, we can access the quick marks, okay, by clicking on this box with a check mark. And makikita po natin yung mga quick mark sets that has been provisioned to us by Turnitin. Depending on your preference, for example, let's say I want to choose the academic integrity quick marks. You might not be very much familiar with a lot of quick marks, but you don't have to worry because we are providing a lot of information below. Like we have the description here. And if by chance you would want to add that one in your student's work, simply drag and drop it and leave your own comment so that your student will understand what do you mean by that. Like they will be able to comprehend your quick mark. You may also use want to select or make your quick marks personalized. It's really up for you to decide. But what I always do or how I use quick mark is like this. I highlight a chunk of a paragraph or even a phrase that I would want to put comment with. Select the bubble icon. Or I mean, sorry, select the quick mark instead. Okay, let me just delete that. Okay, select the quick mark. That's the box with a check mark. And I can just simply, I do have my own quick mark sets in the rec website, but actually, well, this one is available here somehow. So let me see, Nina's quick mark, there you go. And I can just select one specific quick marks here, there you go. Okay, so as you can see, the description of quick mark is here. I can leave my own comment as well so that my student will be able to understand it easily. Change the color of the highlight away and it's automatically be saved. So as you can see, yung quick marks po, bubble comments, and text icon are basically used for a specific portion in our student submission. But if you would want to leave a comment or an overall comment or feedback to your students' work, simply click on the feedback summary icon, this one, and you can leave a voice comment up to 3 minutes long, as well as the text comment that can be added in your student downloaded report. So I can just say, good job in here. Okay. Those are the grading and feedback tools. The last in grading and feedback tools are actually the rubric or form manager. The rubric that you are seeing in here is something not very hindi po siya traditional. Okay. But this one is pretty easy and quick. Do is to drag it to the desired score. Okay, once na identify po natin ang rubrics, you can drag it to the desired score and you can see the description of that score below. Okay, let's say we have this. Okay, and what you can do is click on apply to grade so that it will automatically populate in here. However, since hindi po tayo nag-establish ng maximum score, we are not seeing any changes up in here, but definitely if we have established anything, makikita po natin yung difference. If by chance you would want to change your rubric, all you have to do is to click on the cog icon here and click on the 3 bars in the upper left-hand side of the screen or the box of rubric box and select the rubric in our rubric library or just simply create your new rubric if you want to. Okay, let me see. Sorry about that. Okay. Sure that your student is actually or that you are clicking on this toggle, attach this to the assignment so that you can replace the other the previous rubric to the new ones. And then click on close. There you go. Okay. I will be providing very helpful links that will guide you in rubrics, so you don't have to worry about that. Please expect an email from your CU's, CU Turnitin administrator with the recording of this video. Okay, the last but not the least component is what we call the ETS rater. So let me check on that. And when you activate the ETS rater, it will automatically check your students' work for grammar, mechanics, style, usage, and spelling, depending on what you have set in the overall assignment setting. And once you detected an ETSE grammar feedback, let's say here, Okay, I do have the word possessive in here, so I'll just simply click on that. You can see the e-tracker, and I can also leave my own feedback as an instructor so that my student will be guided accordingly. So I can explain that, let's say, for example, may sabihin po tayo na you always have some issues with your possessive nouns and you must review and practice more and might as well view the handbook. The handbook can be accessed by both instructor and student. So definitely this is a learning tool. If you see, okay, if when I click on the handbook, you can see the information on how to use a particular grammar function correctly. It has all the pertinent information, including the examples of a certain grammar format. So it's really guiding our students to fix their own errors properly. If you will notice, yung grammar, yung ETS erater po, it's not a fix and click system. It will not provide you an automatic answer, not an automatic correct spelling or structure. Erater is teaching us is that what we want our student is to learn and grow when it comes to writing. We are focused on the long-term learning of our students so that they will become proficient in English and become better writers. Okay, so ito po, it's like we are building a very strong foundation so that our students will not be reliant in the online tools that they can find these days. Okay, so that is our we are more focused on the long-term goal or benefits of this e-rater to your student. Para at least hindi po sila maging masyadong mag-rely doon sa mga online tools that they can find. Okay, there you go. Now, we just finished the ETS e-rater. So we can also find some false flags. If by chance you found false flags, to decide whether you think that one is an acceptable flag of like a grammar error or not. For example, you are flagging or this is flagging as a wrong spelling. So if you think somehow, okay, this is an example, but obviously wrong spelling po siya. But example, you think this one is a false flag, can simply click on dismiss and you're all good. Okay. Now we have discussed all of those components. So let me just go back to the active layers. Make sure grading, similarity, and e-rater are all activated. Then we have to download the similarity report. So simply click on this download. Okay, and click on current view. Okay. So make sure you're clicking on view to have just turned on. And there you go. So I'm just saving this one right now. And let's see. Okay. I think we're all ready. Okay, I'll be clicking on the similarity report this time. Okay, and as you can see in here, okay, it has all the pertinent information of your student's work. And you can see the submission ID is also in here, including the highlighted matching. Okay, and the percentage, the sources, and the exclusion. We can also see the score if you're providing any on the general comments as well. And also the quick marks, bubble icons, and the e-rater feedback. Okay. So there you go. And including the rubrics. If there's a need for you to engage your student in a conversation and might as well, okay, if there's a need for you to raise a concern to your academic heads, if you found some anomalies or areas of concern to in your students' submitted work. Okay. Next to that, Okay, let me just quickly switch to my feedback studio or the similarity report. Okay, so we have the last icon in here, which is the information icon. So when you click on that information icon, it has the submission ID number. The submission ID is very, very, very important information if there's a need for you to contact our support team. Make sure that you have the submission ID with you so that our support team can find the paper easily and they can help you quickly. Okay, so there you go. I do have a question coming from Ms. Angelica Jane Rojas. Can the student download in Canvas the corrected annotated file using Turnitin Feedback Studio? Thank you, ma'am, for the question. I believe that it is possible for your student to download your paper or to download the annotated paper, depending on the settings that has been applied by the Turnitin instructors. So if you allowed your student to see the similarity report, definitely po kaya nilang mag-download ng paper. It's basically the same kung paano natin dina-download. So what they can see is yung download icon and select current view. So I will also be providing links that will go directly to doon sa ating student workflow so that we can guide our student in using Feedback Studio in Canvas. Thank you, Ms. Angelica. Okay. The last but not the least that I'm about to share. Okay, I know we are over. Bear with me. So I'm actually sharing another feature that has been added in UP system, which I think is beneficial for everybody. So what was that? We call it Draft Coach. What is Draft Coach? Okay, so I am showing right now, okay, what we call the Google Docs. So Draft Coach will only be effective or only be used if you are using the Google Workspace. So open your Google document, like what I am doing right now. And Draft Coach will allow you to check your draft for similarity, citation, and grammar. So what I'm going to do is I will try to paste a sample paper that I have as well, as you can see here. And once you have, let's say, for example, you are accessing your Google Docs already and you're typing your drafts, what you can do is click on add-ons, click on and select Draft Coach. Note that Draft Coach must be available, okay, or must have been set up by your Turnitin administrator. So if my concern po tayo dyan, let's say I open my docs and I cannot see Draft Coach at all, what should I do? So please reach out to your respective CU Turnitin administrator. But I believe that this has been enabled for every UP instructors who are actually using the UP institutional email. So there you go. Makikita natin yung Turnitin Draft Coach reports in the right-hand side. And you can start checking for Turnitin similarity. Click on Go to Similarity and run New Similarity Check. Okay, well, I already had this one before, so that's why it's very easy. Na-run na po siya agad. Okay. And here you will notice that your document is automatically checked existing student papers and scholarly content. It doesn't mean that or it will not match against a newly submitted file or alongside with other students' work. So baka ang tanong po natin is, can I match back to another, can I match against to another instructor or another student who is also drafting their work? It's not possible. So kung ano po ang existing content that we have in our database, that's the only content that you can match back with. That's why may mga changes po when it comes to the percentage or the overall similarity percentage doon sa mga ginagawang draft or sa mga chine-check sa Draft Coach compared doon sa mga na-submit in Feedback Studio. So but this is very helpful for at least while you are doing your draft, you're checking the overall similarity before your final submission. Draft coach is actually very useful for our students, so that para at least mas confident po sila before the final submission. And this can also be used by teachers too. You can also click on citation. So as you can see in here, I click on citations, and when I generated a report, citations check is used to identify when your citations are missing references or references are missing citations. It focuses on identifying matching pairs of citations and references that you include in your text. Note that the check does not currently assess the accuracy of your citation format or references based in your actual content of your text. So if you will notice, it will flag us with the issues that we found in your citation portion or the content. It says here the references with no citation. You will note we also have the help links that will guide you how the work or what you can do with this report. So at least, again, before the final submission, you already fixed some major issues that can be found in your in your own work. Another one is the grammar. When you click on the grammar, it searches your draft for any grammatical mistakes using US English grammar rules. The potential errors will be highlighted, categorized, and listed with suggestions on how that could be corrected. If you will notice, ang grammar guide po natin is not a fix and click system. What grammar guide aims is to guide and truly educate our students and encourage application and eventual transfer of knowledge to later assignments. So yung long-term plan po ang tin-target ng ating grammar guide. Okay? Definitely, may mga students tayo who might get frustrated as they want an easy way. Like they want an automatic correct answer. Okay? But we must highlight the long-term benefits of this. At least in the future, better, okay, in constructing their own work. Mas better po ang kanilang English proficiency and mas careful po sila when it comes to their structure or grammar structure. Okay, so again, that is the draft coach. All right, so well, I think that's about it on my end. I'm still checking some chat or doon sa ating Q&A. If you have some questions, let me know kung may clarifications po tayo about our workflow in Canvas environment. Okay. Okay, so I think we're all good. So let me see. Okay, oh, there's a question from Sir Alan Alinea. Can I check? Good question. Unfortunately for now, okay, for Feedback Studio, we cannot check the handwritten documents. So might as well, the student will just provide yung mga works na ginawa natin doon sa Google Docs or sa PDF files. Okay. Thank you so much for the question, sir. Okay. All right, so, well, I think no more questions at all, and we're over time. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. So let me just simply show you yung ating links, okay, or help guides that I will be providing as well in my follow-up email. That is the Instructor Quick Start Guide and the help.turnitin.com. And once again, if you have any issues about your account or simply similarity report concerns, you may reach out to your respective CU's Turnitin administrators. And also you can get in touch with the Turnitin Professional Services. So my email is in here. I believe that it would be best for you to reach out to your Turnitin administrator first because some concerns might be an internal concern. So at least baka mas ma-address pa po nila yung concern natin if it has got to do with our own or with our very own account. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Friday po, and stay safe. And once again, ingat po. Salamat po. Thanks, everybody.